kind of run the town. Like they're all over the place.
Yeah, this year it's a bumper crop.
There's about 6 of them. My ex-husband was telling me that they were in his front yard eating his plum tree. They were eating all the leaves.
All right, guys, sorry about that. Zoom every once in a while likes to mess with me. All right, wonderful. I'm so glad you guys are on tonight. This is going to be a really exciting call. And like I said it before, if you want to get some paper and pen handy, Mike is going to go over some really incredible notes and things that I jotted down the last time he spoke, and I was really glad to have these notes. So welcome everybody to our Wednesday night call. So glad to have you guys here. Tonight, we're going to hear from, I can't actually say new anymore because it's been quite a few months, but newer to our team, Mike Mallory, who is the Mountain Region Field Representative, and he has just been absolutely amazing. He reached out immediately to really several of the leaders all around the mountain region, introduced himself, got to know us, spent a lot of time getting to know us and allowing us to get to know him as well, which has been such a treat. And I'm so thankful for that, Mike. He's extremely interested in helping us build, answering questions, whatever he can do. And he's very highly involved. So we do have our own Mountain Region Facebook group. If you're not in it yet, just let us know, we'll add you. And that's people in this area who are building and working together, you know, of course, with our one team behavior. And Mike, we're so grateful that you have come in and are working with us to help us grow and build and continuing to give suggestions and ideas and be a part of our business. And I want to introduce you to our team. So this is a lot of Isoforce and Game Changers, some Team Shady. We've got a couple different teams represented, and we're just thrilled to have you here and have the team get to know you more.
Wow, that was way too sweet. Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate it. So do you want me to just jump in though, or are you going to do something beforehand?
No, I know your time is limited, so let's go ahead. Like we talked about before, Mike is going to be telling us about the 4 components and really diving in. He shared this information with us about a month and a half ago, and it was really, really inspiring and great to know. And I know you guys are really going to appreciate it, but just get to know Mike a little bit and who he is. He is a dad. He works, he's actually in Utah, but working with Isogenics, of course, at the headquarters. And if you guys can just kind of get to know him and his personality, know that he's really here to help us. So Mike, yeah, if you want to share a little bit about yourself and then your training that you have for us tonight. We're just thrilled to meet you.
Yeah. I'll share my screen in just a minute, but yeah, let me just introduce myself for those of you that don't know who I am. So like Stephanie mentioned, you guys, I've only been with Isogenics now for about 2.5 months. My official first day was March 2nd. So I went out to corporate in Arizona. I spent a week there just kind of training, getting to know everybody. And then coronavirus hit and I haven't left my house since. So, but it's been fun. It's been a great opportunity. Like Stephanie said, the first few weeks, honestly, I just tried to reach out to as many people as I could and just said, hey, let's jump on a Zoom so I can get to know you better and just get a feel for how I can support you. So, I mean, Stephanie was way too nice about me, but she is right. All I want to do is support you guys. I just want you to succeed. I want you to help as many people as possible, and I want you to make as much money as possible in the process. So anybody on this call, you guys, please feel free to reach out to me at any time. I really am just here to serve you. But in addition to that, like Stephanie mentioned, you can see the pictures behind me. I've got 3 kids with the 4th on the way. The 4th one is also a girl, which means I'll have 3 girls and 1 boy. So eventually me and my son will probably just leave and never come back because there's so much estrogen in my house. But no, my kids are the best. I love them to pieces. They're super cute, but it is a hectic life. Like Stephanie mentioned, I actually live in Utah and they're letting me work and stay in Utah. So I'm just going to be working remotely from Utah. I'm sure I'll do tons of travel, come to events, get, many opportunities to get to know all of you, but I'm just excited to be here. And I'm super grateful that Stephanie invited me to the call tonight because I think this will be fun. So like Stephanie mentioned, you guys, I did a similar presentation, it's probably been 3 weeks or so on a different team call. But it was a great opportunity for me to get to know people, and just share some of the knowledge that I took from a book that I read. So let me go ahead and share my screen, you guys. Let's see. I think it's this one. Let me just go ahead and make sure this is, okay, is everybody seeing the big Isagenix logo on their screen? Okay, Stephanie's giving me the thumbs up. All right, perfect. All right, you guys, so let's just jump into it because I don't want to take too much of your time. I will warn you, however, when I gave this presentation a few weeks ago, it took me a full hour. So I told Stephanie, or we talked about it, I said, let's condense it down. I'll try and do this in a half an hour. So I'm going to try and just blow through it. So like Stephanie said, you're welcome to take notes, but I'll also add, you guys, if there's something that you missed and you're like, dang, and I really like that point, let me know. I'll give you these slides. I mean, I'm happy to share these. You guys can have that as well. So anyway, let's jump into it, you guys. So the name of this presentation, I just named it Elevate Yourself. And the reason I did that is because the entire presentation is based on a book that I recently read. I think I read it probably about 6 months ago, called Elevate. And it was written by a guy named Robert Glazer. And I got to tell you why I love this book, you guys. When I read, personal development or self-help type of books, most of the time I can't stand them. I'm just being totally honest. Most of the time I'm just like, oh my gosh, there's so much fluff and just beating around the bush. And you feel like you've got all the nuggets of information within the first like 10 pages, but then there's another 300 you have to read after that just kind of repeats the same idea. That's been my experience. But with this book, I loved it. It was literally a one-night read, took me about 3 hours. And it's just, there's no fluff. It's right to the point. It's meat and potatoes. And the whole idea or message behind the book is, how do we as people and as leaders elevate ourselves to the next level, right? To accomplish more and to become more just as human beings. So that's kind of the purpose of the book. This guy, Robert Glazer, that wrote it, most of you probably have no idea who he is. He's kind of started to gain a little bit of popularity. But basically, in a nutshell, this guy owns a big marketing company called, I think it's called Acceleration Partners. And this marketing company, I guess his popularity started growing because every Friday he would send out a little email to his team at this company, and he would just call it the Friday Forward. And in the beginning, he would just spend 20 minutes a day writing it and sending it out every Friday. And it was just meant to be kind of like an inspirational message for his employees and that type of thing. But it started like gaining a ton of popularity. And within like a year or two, he had found out that like this was really impacting people's lives, and they were sharing with their friends and family. And it had gone to hundreds of thousands of people around the world in over 50 countries. And he still does it. And as a result, he decided, you know what? I'm going to share some of my knowledge and some of the things I've learned from these Friday Forwards, and I'm going to write a book. So that's kind of what this book is about. Okay. Anyway, I loved it. Super to the point. Really encourage you guys. It's on Amazon right now. I think it's $4 to buy it on Kindle. So you should definitely read this book. But before I jump into kind of the meat and potatoes of it, you guys, it's important to understand two main definitions because that's what this book is all about. The first one, pretty self-explanatory, is elevate. And it says to raise or lift something to a higher position or raise to a more important or more impressive level. Okay? Again, the purpose of the book, how do we elevate ourselves to become more and accomplish more? The second piece or the second definition is capacity. And we're going to talk throughout this entire presentation about how do we build our capacity to do certain things. And the definition says capacity, what he was referring to is the ability or power to do, experience, or understand something. So we're going to talk about how do you build capacity in these different areas of your life that will elevate you to a higher level. So before I get into kind of the main elements, like Stephanie mentioned, those 4 kind of chambers we're going to talk about, I want to give you just kind of a generalized example of someone who is really, really good at capacity building. Now, does anybody know who this is on the screen right now? Anybody know who that guy is? No? Good. I don't want you to because it ruins the surprise. Okay? So this guy, I'll tell you his name in just a minute. But in high school, he took a trip abroad and he became fascinated with Asia. And after returning home from this trip, he went to his high school guidance counselor and he said, hey, I love Asia. I'm fascinated. I want to learn more about it. And I've learned that Princeton University has a really good East Asia studies program. I want to go to Princeton University. And that guidance counselor kind of laughed at him and said, oh, good luck with that. It is so hard to get into Princeton. I mean, you're going to have to really do a lot to even be considered, blah, blah, blah. Well, this guy took that as a challenge and he elevated himself, right? He learned as much as he possibly could in order to get into Princeton, and eventually he succeeded and he went to Princeton. But his story doesn't end there. A few years later, this same guy, he owns a very small but successful business. And he has worked his tail off to make this thing hum, right? To make this business work. And he's just exhausted. He's working late, he's working nights, he's barely seeing his family, all of this stuff. So he decides, you know what? I want to travel abroad yet again. I want to take a long sabbatical, whatever you want to call it. I just want to leave for a few months and I want to travel. Problem was his business didn't have any actual employees. So he had to figure out a way to make his business run while he was gone. So he started learning, right? He started figuring out ways so that his business could still run and be successful even with him not physically there. How could he run it remotely? And he figured it out and he went on his trip. Several months later, he came back and he decided, you know what? I want to write a book about that process of making my business work remotely. And I also want to add stories about my travel and whatever. So he wrote a book about the last couple of years of his life. And when he got back, he took that book to a number of different publishers. And the first 25 publishers he took that book to said, no thanks, not interested. 25, you guys, no exaggeration. And then he took it to the 26th publisher. And that publisher said, yes, we will publish your book. And he said to them, he's like, why? Why are you willing to publish my book when 25 other people have told me no? And they said, here's the thing. We don't even care about the book that much. I mean, yeah, we like it, but we're not betting on the book. We're betting on you. We know that you will do everything possible to make that book successful. Based on your track record, we know you will make that book successful, and that's why we're willing to publish it. You guys, that book was The 4-Hour Work Week. If you have not read this book, you need to. It is a perfect example of capacity building and how to focus on only the things that matter in your life, to cut out all the fluff and to make yourself more successful and to elevate yourself to a higher level. I love him. I think he's such a great example of capacity building and just continuing to kind of expand your horizons. You guys, not only did he write a book, but in addition to that, he's learned to speak 5 languages. He holds the Guinness record holder in tango spins. You guys, I don't even know what tango spins are, but he holds the record. He learned angel investing, and he's backed companies such as Uber, Facebook, and Spotify. Again, he's just always learning, soaking things in, right? Building his capacity or his abilities. He created a podcast with over 300 million downloads, and he's already written 5 best-selling books. This one's my favorite, you guys, but I encourage you, look this guy up. So much good information out there. So anyway, he's just one really good example of capacity building. But it's important to note, you guys, the capacity building is not about just doing more. It's about doing more of the right things. That's really important to understand. So let's jump into it, you guys. I'm going to talk about the 4 chambers or elements that Robert Glazer talks about in his book. And he says these 4 areas are where everybody should focus to build them out in order to elevate themselves and become more successful. So those 4 areas are spiritual, emotional, physical, and intellectual. And in the book, Robert Glazer says, you guys think of it as like kind of like a giant beach ball, right? And this giant beach ball has 4 main chambers in it. And each chamber should be completely full with air. And if it is, then that ball, if you put it at the top of a hill, it's going to roll down really quickly, right? It's going to pick up momentum and it's going to fly. But if there is a chamber of that ball that is not completely full, then guess what? That ball is going to be clunky, right? It's not going to roll like it should down the hill. It's not going to pick up the momentum that it could. And it's going to get stuck and probably stop in a lot of places. So he says, that's why you need to build your capacity in these 4 main areas in order to elevate yourself and become more successful. So you need to be aware of the imbalance and identify exactly which chamber is slowing you down. You guys, that's key to keeping you on course. So let's talk about the first chamber. First chamber we're going to talk about is spiritual capacity. Okay? You guys, spiritual capacity is about understanding who you are and what you want most for your life. This is the motor that is driving you either unconsciously or consciously. I love, you guys, this chamber is probably my favorite because it's probably, for me personally, the area where I struggle the most. And I have to oftentimes step back and say, okay, I need to work on my spiritual capacity. This is the area that's starting to deflate a little bit. I need to build that back up. So the best way to build your spiritual capacity is to clearly identify your core values. You guys, core values are principles that are most important to you in your life. Your core values are going to act as guideposts or kind of like your swim lanes throughout your life. Okay, that's why it's so important to know what the heck yours are. These are going to help guide every single decision you make in your life. Okay, let me give you some examples of core values. And this was me just kind of brainstorming and throwing things out there. So there are all these core values that you can choose from. And I would try and narrow it down to your top 5 or 6, okay? So you've got all of these core values, and I'm sharing with you right now, by the way, what mine are. I made this list, and then I narrowed it down to my top 5. My top 5 are consistency, passion, integrity, self-discipline, and honesty. I felt like these are my 5 core values. These are my 5 guideposts that are gonna help me with every single decision I make in my life. Now, you guys, here's the thing. When you make decisions in your life, if they don't align with your core values, how do you think you're gonna feel? You're gonna feel like crap, right? You're gonna feel drained, you're gonna feel stuck. Let me give you an example. Let's say the 5 core values you see on your screen are your 5 core values. And let's say that your personality is, you're somebody that loves to be around other people, right? That's kind of what fires you up, that's what fuels you. And a lot of you can probably relate to that because you're network marketers, right? And you're a people person. And let's say the job you have right now, you get to be around people all the time, you get to work with them, you're a network marketer, you love it. But you see a job opening pop up at a company across the street. And that job position is an IT position, right? Where you're working with computers a lot. And let's say you like computers, you're pretty well versed in how they work. You've done a little bit of code writing, things like that. And you notice that the pay is a little bit more than what you're making. So you say, I'm gonna apply for that job. You apply, you get the job. Well, a short while later, as you're working at that IT job, you start to realize, man, I am isolated all day long. I rarely see another person. I'm sitting in this back room working on computers, okay? In addition to that, my boss is kind of a sleazeball. My boss is taking equipment from the office and oftentimes he doesn't bring it back. So think about that situation, you guys. Is that aligning with your core values? Your passion is to be around people. Your new job says that you're isolated. So that passion, which is one of your core values, it's not there. In addition to that, you feel like your boss is pretty dishonest. Well, you obviously don't have the honesty core value anymore. You don't have the integrity core value. You're not feeling very good about life. And that's because the decision you made to go take this new job does not align with your core values. You guys, that's why it's so important to identify your core values and make sure all of the decisions you make align with that, because that's going to help you on your path to bettering yourself and to building that spiritual capacity. Now that you've got these guideposts that are guiding you to a certain place, you should probably know what that destination is, right? And that destination is called your core purpose or your why. Now, I know everybody sees your why and they're like, oh my gosh, this is all we talk about, right? We always talk about your why in network marketing. There's good reason for that, you guys, because if you don't have your core purpose or your why written down and very clearly defined and identified, then you're never going to get where you're going because you don't know where you're going. That's why it's so important to make sure you understand what your core purpose is, you guys. Now, I encourage you, every single one of you guys, if you have not identified your core purpose, you need to do it. It is hard. I'll tell you this much right now. I think a lot of people think, oh, my why, it's easy. My why is it's my kids. That's not enough, you guys. You need to spend more time kind of determining exactly what it is. Make sure you have a clear understanding of what your core purpose is. Now, mine, I just put it up on the screen, is to have a positive influence on the people I love and to provide a comfortable life for my family. You guys, it has honestly probably taken me years to really clearly define that. I had some ideas in the beginning, but I've had to tweak that over time to really understand, okay, this is where I want to get. When I die, I want this written on in my obituary, is that he had a positive influence on the people he loves and he provided a comfortable life for his family. That's all I care about. So my core values should help guide me towards that. Now, here's the problem, and this is what Robert Glazer says in his book. He says 98 out of 100 people cannot clearly identify their core purpose or their why. The two that can, guess what? They have a very elevated focus, and they're probably accomplishing a lot more than the other 98 people. True or false? Do you think that's true? Absolutely, you guys. You think about the leaders in Isagenix, or really any company. They are so laser focused on what the end goal is that nothing gets in their way. Nothing. They're not embarrassed, right? They're not scared to open their mouths. They are so laser focused. They know what that end result or that end goal is going to be, that nothing is going to stop them from getting there. So again, you guys, this is how you build your spiritual capacity. This is how you build these abilities. Okay? You identify your core values and your core purpose. Now, what I did last time, which I'm skipping today, is we kind of do a little bit of a 5-minute break and kind of write things down and do an activity. I'm going to skip it for the sake of time, but I do want you guys to maybe just jot this down really quickly. This is the action plan. This is what I think we should all work on, myself included. But I want you all to identify your core values and your core purpose. You guys start big. Just jot down all the core values you can possibly think of. And then over time, start narrowing that down so you know what your 5 or 6 clearly are. And then continue to work on your why so you know where you're headed. In addition to that, I want you all to really try hard to commit to focusing 80% of your time only on activities that align with those values and purpose. You guys, if you're spending more time on all these things that don't align with your core values, it's a waste of your time. It's a total waste of your time. If you go home from your day job and all you do is you sit and watch Netflix for 5 hours, is that going to help you get to your core purpose? No, I guarantee it won't. So try to cut some of that stuff out. That doesn't mean you can't ever do anything fun, but try and cut some of that stuff out and do things that align with your core purpose and your core values. So that's the first piece. The next chamber, again, of the ball, we're trying to inflate these different chambers, right? The next chamber is the intellectual capacity. Let's talk about what intellectual capacity is, and then we'll talk about how to build it up. So intellectual capacity is about how you improve your ability to think, learn, plan, and execute. You guys, this one's super important also. Let me show you a picture. Anybody know what this is a picture of? I see some people mouthing it, but you're all muted. So you guys, this is a picture of the evolution of Apple computers, right? The one on the left, that hideous yellow computer, is from 1976, and the one on the right is from 2020, okay? You guys, I think of our brains as computers, right? They have processors that can be upgraded constantly, okay? Sadly, there are way too many people that think they already know enough and they don't need to upgrade their processors. Let me ask you something, you guys. Why does Apple think that they do need to upgrade their processors? Why do they keep upgrading their computers and their processors every few years? Why? Right there on the screen, you guys. To make their computers faster, smarter, and more efficient. And you can bet your bottom dollar that our brains work the exact same way. If we're constantly upgrading our processors or our brains, you guys, we start to make decisions faster. We start to work smarter and more efficiently. That's how it works, you guys. You should always have, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute, a growth mindset that you can always become more and learn more and understand more, okay? And here's the other piece that goes along with that. The greater your intellectual capacity, the greater your level of achievement within the same or less expenditure of energy. In other words, you guys, if you're always upgrading your brain processor, guess what? You're going to be able to do more with less energy because you're always becoming more efficient, if that makes sense. Let me give you an example of somebody that is so good at building their intellectual capacity. So this guy, his name is Drew Houston. I'm assuming most of you don't know who he is either. But when he was in college, he began to realize how much he didn't know and understand about business. Okay, so he's in college and he's like, holy cow, I know nothing about business. So you know what he did? He began searching Amazon, and he would look up the top rated business books, and every single week for like months or years, I don't even know for how long, he would buy the top 3 or 4 books on Amazon. He would order them, they'd get to his house, and then every weekend he would go up on his roof and he would just read. He'd read about all these business books and just soak up the information. He gave up weekends of hanging out with his buddies and going drinking and having fun because he was just reading, and he was building this intellectual capacity to learn more about business. A little while later, and this isn't like 2005, it's really not that long ago. A little while later, he actually sent a demo CD to the author of this book I'm talking about today, Robert Glazer. He sent him this demo CD that talked about this online storage idea that Drew Houston had. And Robert Glazer says, yeah, I looked at it and it seemed like an interesting idea, but I just kind of told him, it's interesting, but it's such a competitive market with online storage, whatever. Long story short, that online storage eventually became Dropbox. It's now worth $2.2 billion. All because this guy learned as much as he possibly could about business, and he applied that to creating Dropbox. You guys, great example of developing and building intellectual capacity. So like I said a minute ago, Drew Houston had a growth mindset. A lot of times people have a fixed mindset. Let me give you an example of these things. I know you've seen similar things before. A fixed mindset would say something like, I can't do this. A growth mindset would say, oh, I'm going to train my brain how to do this. A fixed mindset would say, I'll never get this. A growth mindset would say, I will find resources to help me. Fixed mindset, I hate when I mess up. Growth mindset, I am resilient and I will learn from my mistakes. Fixed mindset, I hate when I'm corrected. Growth mindset, feedback helps me improve. Fixed mindset, I'm so dumb. Growth mindset, I'm learning, I just need more practice. So let me ask you this, you guys, back to this image of all of these Apple computers. Where are you? Are you here? Are you stuck in kind of the late 90s model with your processor? Have you kind of stopped learning? Have you stopped building your intellectual capacity? Or are you here? Are you every single day looking for ways to build that capacity? Now, let me give you a few additional examples of how you could build intellectual capacity according to the book. You guys, one of the best things you can do is to create routines. Oh my gosh, plan. I know leaders talk about this. I'm sure Stephanie's talked about this a billion times with people, right? Plan your days. One of the things he talks about in the book, wake up 30 minutes before everyone else in your family every single day and just plan your day out, right? Get a feel for the day. Don't wait until 10 a.m. to roll out of bed and then think, oh, well, I'll just kind of wing it today and see what happens, because you're not going to accomplish as much as you could. You guys, create or join a mastermind group. Seek out a mentor or a coach. Be proactive. Request and accept feedback. In the book, Robert Glazer talks about, I can't remember the names or anything of this example, but he talks about this woman that worked at this big marketing company. And her boss came to her and she said, hey, I need you to give a presentation today, or in a couple days, whatever, on this project you've been working on. The girl says, okay, yeah, I can do that. A couple days comes, she gives the presentation. She does a pretty good job, but afterwards the boss comes to her and says, hey, just so you know, the presentation, you did a good job and everything, but just a little bit of feedback. You should really work on not saying the word so much in your presentation. And the girl says, okay, yeah, whatever. And she was a little bit offended by it, right? And she just did not soak it in at all, just kind of ignored it. And a few weeks later, she had to give another presentation. And the boss came to her again afterward and said, hey, you're still saying a lot. I'm not trying to be rude. I just think that you'd be able to, get your message across better if you worked on that. Girl ignored it again. She didn't want the feedback. She was a little bit offended, whatever. After a little bit of time and giving these presentations, the boss saying the same thing and recognizing this girl is not listening, the boss comes to that girl again and she says, hey, I'm just going to say it straight up. You sound really stupid when you say every 10 seconds in your presentation. Make it better. You need to get better at that. That caught the girl's attention, right? And she made the change and she continued to get better. And long story short, she's now a sought after public speaker, and she's a New York Times bestselling author. So The power of feedback is big, but don't be like her in the beginning, you guys. Ask for feedback. Request it. It's only going to help you get better. Find and keep an accountability partner. We all know this is huge, you guys, especially in network marketing. This business is so amazing because it's easy to get in, but it's also really easy to fall out. So get an accountability partner, you guys, so that it keeps you motivated and holds you accountable to do what you say you want to do. Journal everything. You guys, he hits on this point so much in his book, but journaling is really another form of holding yourself accountable. Because if you're journaling every day saying, hey, this morning when I woke up 30 minutes early before everybody else, here are my goals for today. And then you go back the next day and you look at your journal entry and you think, oh my gosh, I wrote down all those goals and I didn't do any of them, right? It's a way to hold yourself accountable. So journal. An obvious one, read. You guys never stop reading and soaking up information. And last but not least, set short-term and long-term goals that align with your core purpose and values. So the action plan for this chamber is to wake up 30 minutes earlier than the rest of your family for the rest of the week. Maybe some of you already do this, and that's great, but I want you to make sure in addition to that, during those 30 minutes, you're not looking at email, news, television, anything. You're only reading, writing, thinking, exercising, or just planning your day. And then at the end of the day, I want you to journal how you did during the day. How did it make you feel knowing that you had a plan? Did you stick to it? That type of thing. In addition to that, I want you to get on Amazon, you guys, and buy a new book. Buy a new book that aligns with your core purpose and read it by June 20th. And I purposely chose June 20th because it is 1 month from today. More than enough time to read a book. Again, buy this book. You can read it in one night. But you'd be amazed at how many people would not read more than, one book an entire year. So take advantage, you guys. Build that intellectual capacity. All right, let's jump on to the next chamber. The next chamber is physical capacity. Now, this one is probably the easiest to understand, but it's also the chamber that we probably devalue or don't prioritize the most, okay? So physical capacity is your ability to improve your health, well-being, and physical performance. Your physical capacity acts as an accelerant or a drag on your overall quest to build capacity. In other words, you guys, think about it. If you're in poor health, are you more or less likely to have the energy and stamina to get things done? You're less likely, right? Because you wake up, you're tired, you feel like crap, you don't want to do anything during the day. You guys, honestly, my little brother is a perfect example of this. He doesn't go to bed till like 3 or 4 a.m. every single night, and he wakes up at like 1 or 2 p.m. in the afternoon. He eats nothing but Cheetos and Dr. Pepper, and he's just a depressed mess all the time. And it's because his physical health is so bad. That chamber in his ball is completely deflated. So he does not have any momentum. He is not moving in the right direction. So again, you guys, your physical capacity is going to act as an accelerant or a drag on your overall quest. So really, people think of the physical capacity as being less important. It's not, you guys. If you are not good in this area, you're going to have a problem in all the other areas. You guys, health is one of those things you don't really value until you lose it. Does anybody know who this is on the screen? I've got another story because I love his story. I mean, it's sad, but it's a great story. So this is Larry H. Miller. I'm from Utah, so he's a big fixture in the community. But anyway, Larry H. Miller, he owned, I think it was like 60 car dealerships all over the Western U.S. And he owned the Utah Jazz, and he owns a whole bunch of other stuff. He's one of the most wealthy guys in Utah. But anyway, so Larry H. Miller was a crazy successful businessman, but he started out as a guy that just worked as an employee in a car parts store. But he became so good at his job that he just really quickly started to climb the ranks. Pretty soon he was supervisor, then assistant manager, then store manager, then district manager, until finally he ended up running an entire car dealership, okay? This then led to him buying his own car dealership, and then another one, and so on. And then so Larry H. Miller became really wealthy from car dealerships, and he was just a very driven guy, and actually wrote a book called Driven that I read, loved. It's amazing. But in that book, there's a really important area where he talks about his physical capacity and how he completely ignored it and kind of threw it by the wayside. So he talks about how he never exercised, he rarely slept, and his eating habits were honestly horrendous. I mean, I remember specifically one area of the book where he says he would usually just grab a Snickers bar out of his glove compartment. He said he would just stuff his glove compartment with Snickers bars. So usually for breakfast every morning, he'd just grab a Snickers, eat that on his way to work, and that'd be it. And then he might not even eat again until like dinner time. But due to not caring about his physical capacity, his health deteriorated at a pretty young age. He started having heart attacks. He developed diabetes, and he ended up dying in 2009 at the age of 64. And this was after he had to have both of his legs amputated. I mean, it was a really sad story, but super successful, driven businessman. And I can guarantee you he had the mentality of, oh, I don't care about food right now. I'm too busy. I'm too focused, which that's great to have the focus. But if you ignore the physical side of things, that chamber's not full and you're not going to accomplish as much as you could have if you cared about that. So let's just really briefly, you guys, talk about the 3 main cornerstones to building physical capacity. The first one, eating well. You guys, we're at a point in history, this is so depressing to me, where more people will die of obesity than starvation. Is that depressing to anybody else, or is it just me? I hate that stat. Research has discovered, I know you guys know this, especially being a part of Isagenix, but research has discovered a huge connection between gut and brain health. The food you eat affects cognitive functions and decisions you make. So anytime that you're thinking, oh, I'm too busy building my business to eat a healthy meal, I'll just have this granola bar or something. You guys, you are affecting your cognitive decisions when you do that. Eating well is so important to your overall success. It really is, because health is that important. Exercising. Research shows that both cardio and strength training should be part of your exercise routine. Too often we get stuck in just one or the other, right? Or none, obviously. I love this stat right here. The average triathlete, you guys, is 38 years old. 38, not 21, 38 years old. So there are no excuses as to why you can't be exercising. You can start out slow if you want, but there's no excuse as to why you should do nothing. Physical accomplishments often create confidence that affects other aspects of your life. Again, I think back to that first slide with regards to the physical capacity that said it's either an accelerant or a drag. You guys, if you're in good physical health, then you're creating confidence, and that's going to bleed into the rest of your decisions and your business and your life. If you have confidence, you're going to perform better, period. It's just how it works. Sleeping. Sleep is an investment, and to me, this also kind of ties in with whether or not it's an accelerant. Sleep is an investment in the energy you need to be effective tomorrow. You guys, if you're not getting a good night's rest because you're thinking, oh, I got to build my business, I'll just sleep 2 hours, I'll be fine. Well, guess what? The next day, you're not going to perform like you could have. So don't ignore that, okay? Now, no surprise here, but 67% of people with less than good sleep quality.
What if I went home and got a job and you didn't have to work at all?
Also report fair. No surprise there, right, you guys? So anyway, you guys, here's the action plan. I want you to commit to 8 hours of sleep every night, no matter what. No matter what. I don't care what you have going on, no matter what. If you're serious about building this business, commit to that no matter what. I want you to get an exercise buddy if you don't already have one, and hold each other accountable. I know we're in the middle of the coronavirus. I know this is a pandemic. I know a lot of gyms aren't open, or even if they are, you can't be close to each other. You don't have to be physically in the same room to be an exercise buddy. Okay? You guys could do it you could exercise over a Zoom call. You don't even have to exercise at the same time, but you still hold each other accountable at the end of the day and make sure that the other person did exercise. Again, you guys, accountability is big. And last but not least, write down everything you eat in the next week. This is just depressing. Everything, you guys. I've done this before. It's so depressing. After a week, look back and see how you did. Make changes as necessary. Again, just another way to hold yourself accountable. All right, you guys, I know we're running low on time, so let me just run through this last chamber of the ball because it's equally as important as the rest. Emotional capacity. You guys, your level of emotional capacity is deeply connected with how you manage the little voice in your head, interact with others, and the quality of your relationships. You guys, this is a relationship business. If we're likening this presentation unto network marketing, this is super important. This is vital to your success. You have to build this emotional capacity, you have to manage that little voice in your head, and you have to be really good with interacting with others and your relationships. So let's run through this, you guys. The first step in building emotional capacity is to stop doubting yourself. And I know this is easier said than done, but here's the thing, you guys. Some of our limits are self-imposed, but many others originate from the people around you. A good example of this is cognitive dissonance. Oftentimes, the people around us, even if they don't mean to be malicious with the things they say things that make us doubt ourselves. For example, if you were to go to a friend of yours and you're thinking to yourself, you know what? I've been wanting to write a book for a really long time. I just haven't done it. I know that I can. And you go to that friend, you say, hey, I want to write a book. And that friend says, I don't know, man. Writing a book is really hard. I doubt you can do it. That's cognitive dissonance. In your friend's brain, they're thinking to themselves, well, I'm smarter than him. Therefore, he can't write a book if I can't do it. And then oftentimes we take that and we think, oh my gosh, they're probably right. I probably can't do that. I think this happens all the time, you guys. Start paying attention to what people say around you. Oftentimes their own limited beliefs about themselves bleed into what our beliefs are about us, and we let that affect us. Don't let it. Again, I know it's easier said than done, but understand cognitive dissonance and avoid its trap. It's also much, as all of you know this one, but it's much easier and far less rewarding to make excuses for not doing something. You guys, the second step in building emotional capacity is getting out of your comfort zone. This is a huge thing for network marketing. We all know this. I know none of this information is new, but it's still important for you to understand. You guys, the people that are willing to be the most uncomfortable will rise the fastest. I don't think there is a industry where that is not as true as network marketing. Oh my gosh. You guys, the top leaders in every company that I've worked at are the people that just don't care what people think about them. They just don't care, right? They're still really nice people. They're good people, but they're like, I don't care. Here's my goal. I'm laser focused. I'm not going to let you bother me. They don't care about a comfort zone. That's what happens when you want to become a big leader and you want to succeed. Last but not least, you guys, your quest to elevate requires recognizing your insecurities and figuring things out for yourself. You guys, another big piece of emotional capacity is attitude and gratitude, right? And that ties in with the things we just talked about, okay? You guys, this is another way to build emotional capacity. Be grateful. Recognize all of the good in your life. Write it down every single morning. In the book, Robert Glazer says, I have never known a single successful person that was an ungrateful pessimist. Seriously, you think about the leaders in this company specifically, none of them are ungrateful pessimists. Oh my gosh, you know, one of the leaders that I talk to probably the most is Tanya Kirkpatrick. And all she talks about is, I'm just so grateful for this, Mike. I'm so grateful for this. I just recognize this. I mean, it's crazy. If you have an attitude of gratitude, very simply, you're going to succeed. You are. You're going to accomplish more, and you're going to be more driven to do more. So ask yourself this question. Is it you on the left or is it you on the right? When you wake up in the morning, is it like, good morning, Lord? Or is it, good Lord? It's morning, right? Another piece to kind of tie in with the gratefulness topic. You guys, I love this. Grateful people don't feel like the world owes them anything. They know it is their responsibility to go out and get what they want. They're not entitled. They recognize all the good they've already been given. So they say, if I want more, I need to go get it. You guys align yourself with these other people that share those same thought processes. And that ties in with my last point, which is meaningful relationships. You guys, meaningful relationships go a huge distance in building your emotional capacity. Studies show that meaningful relationships help you live longer and be happier. Great relationships encourage you to be better, give you energy, and build emotional capacity. So like I said a second ago, surround yourself with like-minded people who help you grow and fulfill your potential. I know you guys have heard this a million times, but you really are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You really are. So if you're surrounding yourself with people that are just negative, they're pessimists, they don't have a lot of drive, they have zero ambition, then you're going to eventually become that. So surround yourself with the people that have goals, that are pushing themselves, that have ambition. Here's the action plan, you guys. I want you to put together for emotional capacity. Think about the people you spend the most time with. Are they lifting you up to reach your potential? If not, consider surrounding yourself with people that align with your core purpose and your core values. In addition to that, I encourage you to practice gratitude. You guys, I just saw today, back to Tanya Kirkpatrick, her daughter Bailey, who's one of the rising stars in the company, she made a post today saying how every morning she wakes up and she writes down all the things she's grateful for. And she's always adding to that list. And I know a lot of people probably do that on this call as well. Keep doing that, you guys. That is so important in building a successful business. So make that list and add to it every single morning. So in conclusion, you guys, I'll just share with you this quote that Robert Glazer shares in his book, because it kind of hit me in the feels, right in the feelings when I read it. It's right at the end, but he says, "My biggest regret is knowing that I spent a large portion of my time on this earth being an underachiever rather than an overperformer." You guys, don't have that regret. Push yourself. Build up these 4 chambers. Build up these capacities, and you will succeed. I promise you, you will accomplish so much more. So I know I went over time. I'm sorry, Stephanie. There's just so much good content. You guys read the book, and I'm going to hand it back over to Stephanie.
Oh, Mike, that was absolutely fabulous. I've got pages and pages of notes, and it's my second time hearing it. Thank you so much. Guys, before Mike jumps off, do you guys have any questions or anything you want to ask or tell Mike about this presentation? I'm seeing some comments come in, so they're coming in through the chat. Go ahead if anyone wants to unmute and ask a question or make a statement. It's always fun to hear.
I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out to come and talk to us and to share your wisdom, because sometimes we hear this over and over, and sometimes we just need to hear it that one more time, like as a reminder, because sometimes, you know, life gets the best of us, and having that constant reminder and that tribe to be here to remind us is so huge. So I just want to say thank you so much for that, because it just really hit home.
Good. I'm glad it resonated with somebody. Thanks so much, Annie, for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you're reading the comments, Mike, because there's a bunch of them coming in. And Jackie just made a comment that second time hearing you as well, and she already bought both books. So that's great. We're going to have a book club with these and review everything. Well, everyone, I really wanted you to meet Mike. It's very important to know your representative and for the representative to know you. It's very much of a hand-in-hand relationship, and you want to have that trust factor between us, that we're working together, and that you know you have a voice with the company. And if you need help, or if you're stuck, or if you want to grow and you need someone outside of the team and you want someone on the corporate level, that's Mike. And Mike has gone above and beyond. For one, this call tonight, you got to know him in his presentation, but from day one, he's gone above and beyond to let us know that he's here. And he's really, truly here to be a part of it. So please make sure you're in the Mountain Region Facebook group, because there's a lot of communication that happens there. But just know that you have someone who has your back. And that's really, really important. Before we let him go, because I know he has a family to get back to, but does anyone have any questions for Mike? If not, we'll end with some of
I
our...
don't, but I just want to say, Mike, I thank you so much for coming on tonight. And every time I hear you do this presentation, I love it, because I just get more and more from it. And I'm so getting that book.
Right?
It's seriously, you guys, I am just not that smart. So this book is a really easy read. You'd love it. It's awesome.
I'm all for easy reads. All right, that's absolutely beautiful. Okay, we'll all have to chat in and see who gets the book and go over some of the different things that we received from that. And right, Kimberly, the 4-hour work week. We need to really learn that.
Classic.
And William's already read that. I think Kathleen said that she already had it.
Yes, I read it. It's a really good book.
Yeah. So absolutely wonderful. Well, guys, I want to go ahead and go through the updates, and we'll have William just do a quick update. I know he shared a little bit of his story last time as well, but I'm just going to have him share just a tiny bit more about his story because he's so new into the program, and his results are exactly what we want people to receive, and he's just receiving it, and he's so gracious about sharing it with people. So Mike, before you leave, again, thank you so much for being here and sharing with us tonight. Really do appreciate your time.
Thank you guys so much. Stephanie, you're awesome. You guys are in good hands.
Thank you, Mike. It's definitely a lot of team effort. There's a lot of people here who put forth a lot of effort to keep us all up to date and together. So I'm going to read the updates real fast so everybody knows. The dairy-free vanilla chai is temporarily out of stock. It is going to allow people to order it, but it is on back order, and they're expecting early June. So maybe a week, 2 weeks, something like that. Let's see, we have the new for you bundle. That gives us everything, all of the brand new stuff that's happening, the Mega Mimosa, the Amp Nitro Sticks, the Oat Bakes, and the Super Mix. We talked about that the last couple of weeks. And, you know, we know that there's a bunch of new stuff coming out, so super excited about that. You know, just always new stuff, right? Dr. Plant is constantly coming up with new things and bringing them out to us. So know that this summer and this fall, we're going to see a ton of new different things come out and different formulas, all to keep us in better health and keep generating better health for all of our customers. Executive lifestyle bonus, we got paid yesterday, so congratulations. Kimberly, I know you received it. Is Heidi on? Alexa, did you receive it? Wave your hands if you received the executive bonus. That was fantastic and such a gift from the company to receive that. Getting to executive level and staying there every single month, the company rewards us, and they're rewarding us so handsomely. So if you're not familiar with it, when you get to executive level, which is having 10 consultants, just 10 people who have 2 people each or more, of course, staying there, enrolling 2 people a month, and the company gives referrals during that time frame as well. So you also get to use the company referrals for some of your enrollments. They are giving us $750 in bonus. And then when you do it 3 months in a row during that specific time frame, the 3rd month you receive $1,000. So yesterday, for those of us that have done it, we received $1,000. So I know Kimberly, congratulations. And I don't think Heidi's on here, but I know Heidi earned it as well. And if there is anyone else on here, please step up and say so that we can give you the kudos for that. I don't think Mike is on here any longer, is he? No. All right, so I didn't want to say this in front of Mike, but there's new shakes coming out, and there's some new formulas coming out. They're lower in sugar, they're completely reformulated, and Dr. Plant is just continuously bringing different great things to the table. But know that there's a new shake. I don't know when. I don't know details. I just know that there's a new one with lower sugar. All right, top achievers. All right, guys, we have been talking about the Leader in Action form and going over this in detail. Romy is going to be coming back, I think June 18th, to talk a little bit more about manifestation. And I just want to help you guys. And even if you haven't really thought about Fiji, or if it's kind of in the back of your mind or not in your mind at all, just start dreaming about it a little bit. What Romy talked to us about is thinking about something, the same thing that you want every single day for 18 days. Just 18 days. Now, Kathleen does a lot of manifestation. Kathleen is also going to be speaking with Romy. And Kathleen believes just a little bit every single day, right? Just a little something every single day. Think about it, smell it, see it, taste it, and whatever it is, whatever your dreams and goals are. But right now we have Fiji on the table, and the company is amazingly gracious, right? They've been giving away these trips for so many years. I've received trips from different companies, and all it comes down to is putting your mindset to it. So I'd love for you guys to just close your eyes just for a second and imagine the Fiji beach. Just imagine the wind, the sound of the ocean. Maybe you're scuba diving, maybe you're riding a horse, maybe you're at a big party. whatever it is that intrigues you, think about that just a little bit and try and think of it every day. When you work hard and you think and manifest about something like this, your business is going to grow. You're going to talk to more people. You're going to open up the world. You're going to invite more people into you and learning about what you have to share. So I really encourage you to do that. Now, physically, like Mike talked about, we have to be physical, different way of being physical. We do need to have our leader in action forms, and you need to fill them out. Get the numbers on there. So if you need help learning how to do the leader in action, we'll continuously go over this, but definitely have it out, have it in front of you. It's actually really easy to figure out, but we're always more than happy to talk about it. Weekly business calls, we do have a lot. There's a lot of stuff going on. So on Mondays, we have our business basics building calls. We do a half an hour training and a half an hour of work. Monday through Friday, we have work it calls where we get together, we work together. These are our team calls to come together. And then Thursday night, we have our big event. And tomorrow, I just really want to encourage each and every one of you to make sure you're on that call tomorrow. Do whatever you can to jump on, whether you're videoed out or whatever your situation is. But the 3 stories that we have coming on are stories that lives have really been changed, not just the presenters, not just the people that they have spoken to, but so many other people that have read about their story, or they've seen their pictures, or they've heard them speak. I know you have all been affected by Kenya. Kenya speaks to so many of us on a regular basis, and she touches you. She physically touches you and talks directly to you. These are stories that if you can invite a family member, a friend, a neighbor, someone who, and we may not know, but maybe they're praying every night for a solution. Maybe they're praying or meditating or manifesting that somebody will come into their life and offer them a suggestion and a solution. And it could be anything. Maybe they need more energy. Maybe they need less stress. Maybe they just want to play with their kids more. Maybe they need to lose some weight in order for the doctor to say, you're good, you're doing good. Maybe they want to relieve their body of some medications that they've been on. You know, there's so many different things. And Tara, Neil, and Kenya are going to touch in all of these different areas. And they're going to show them to never give up, to believe in themselves, and that they can make this happen. So if you need this for yourself, make sure you're on, but please, everybody bring a friend. We're gonna be giving away raffles. We're gonna be giving away some gifts to the different people that are on the call. Could be you. But it really is a super important call that we go out of our way, like Mike talked about. We've got to be bold and not let people interfere with our thoughts, but we've got to share this with different people. Is if we don't share this opportunity for someone, we may be helping to keep someone in the same situation they're in. But if we share with them and we allow them to see this and allow them to make a decision if this is for them or not, maybe they have that answer that they've been searching for. I know so many times people come on our calls or they come to us individually and they're like, I was praying for a solution and I saw your post, or you called me, or I thought of you. These are all God winks of bringing us together. And so if anyone comes to mind over the next 24 hours, that's a God wink. Okay, if any visual of a person or a memory, or if someone pops up out of nowhere, please know it's a God wink and you need to ask them. I've been turning around every single person that I'm in contact with over this last week, whatever the conversation is, and I just turn it around and I invite them. I don't know if this is for you or someone that you know, but I wanted to let you know about it. Nobody has been offended. I get messages back of this would be great for my mom, or different things like that. If you speak from your heart, they'll receive it with their heart. So I always pray before I reach out, and I always pray that God will send me the people I need to speak to, or the people that are asking for what we have to offer. And I find that happens quite often. So I just really want to encourage you guys to be on the call and share with as many people as you can authentically, that you would really appreciate them being there. All right. We do have product training tomorrow. If you want some more information on the products, Trudy Maples will be speaking at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. David Wood, is anyone listening to the David Wood series that has just started? Oh my gosh, he's amazing. He's just amazing. So you can catch him on isogenicsbusiness.com. And watch them and listen to them anytime you have a moment. And of course, we have a new START masterclass. And START is for anyone that is between the ages of 18 and 35. Even if you're not in that age group, I'm no longer, it's been a long time, you can still receive this information and be a part of it. But it's put together for people in that age group so that they receive special training according to their age and how people are doing things in that age group. So I highly recommend you suggest this to people. Know that there's a great place for people that are in that age group, and that they will be, their hands will be held and they will be really taken care of. And with that, we're running just a tad bit over, but William, thank you for staying on, and thank you for offering this. I just love to share your story because this is one of those stories like Kenya and Neil and Tara's that need to be shared. And so can you just quickly tell us a little bit about your 3-week journey and, you know, with your weight loss, your activity, how you're feeling and your blood sugar levels and what's happening?
Yeah, sure. You know, talk about bedtime. Yeah, just past my normal bedtime, but yeah, I stayed up. But my journey, I'm William Hooper. I live in Nebraska.
William, did you go to bed?
Uh-oh, he froze. It always happens, right?
But anyway, I was having my very first colonoscopy. I had no real issues. After my treatment, I couldn't get feeling right. About 3-4 weeks the ER, and I just was really feeling bad. And then I went ahead and made the call and ordered the Isogenics and started it up. And in the past 3 weeks, I've lost about 13 pounds. I've lost a few inches. And most importantly, I'm a diabetic. My blood sugars have normalized. So that's really been a godsend. They've gotten about much better. And it's, you know, that's pretty much about it. I'm feeling better. I'm trying to find other people to help, so this stuff isn't quite so expensive on my pocketbook, but you know, that's the short end of it.
That's awesome, William. And just by continuously sharing your story and how this has really helped you to change several things with your food and your exercise, your water intake, and adding this nutrition, and all of these beautiful things are happening to you, just continue to share that, and people will listen. People are in this situation where they want to make a difference to their own lives. They want numbers to change. They want the scale to go down, but they need belief, hope, and a vision, and someone to offer it to them. So by sharing your story, all of you guys, everyone sharing your own story or somebody else's story that correlates with theirs, jumping on tomorrow's call, sharing their stories, that's what we do. We're just sharing stories, you know, if we can every day, to those that are interested, those that are looking, and those that are wanting this. So with that, Kimberly, would you like to say anything before we close the call? I know you're not feeling very good tonight, but if there's anything you want to say. All right, interrupt me if you're there. So guys, I want to thank you guys so much for being here. Always love seeing you guys on our Wednesdays. And we have quite a few great lineups coming up. So if anyone needs anything, we're here. We're always here for you. You can find us all day long. And we're going to start some work it calls in the evening. So however we can serve, please just go ahead and reach out. Thank you guys all so much for being here tonight. Always love the time that you spend with us.
Awesome. Thanks Stephanie, so much.
Thank
That was
you.
awesome.
That was.
good. Mike is great. And William, love your story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Night,
sharing.
Steph.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
All right. Good night, everybody.